just grabs you.
Oh my God. That is so cool.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
I love it. Today we are in RAILTOWN 1897 State Historic Park in Jamestown, California. Did you know that this park is free to the public? You are welcome to come on the grounds, take a self-guided tour, talk to the volunteers. You know, these parks are so important to preserve our state's history. And I have a feeling today's show is going to be pretty interesting. On days when the train is operating, volunteer crews arrive hours early to fire up the engine's boiler. They slowly back the engine out of the roundhouse and onto the turntable, which rotates to connect the engine to the main track. This is exactly how it was done here 100 years ago. You can clearly see here that the number 2 engine is gear-driven, and gears turn the wheels. If you want to take a ride on the train, just stop in the depot, purchase a ticket, and then you're on your way. Well, this is Jerry. Jerry, tell me about these cars that were on here. Whoa.
This car was built in 1924 by the Pullman Company and was used by the Southern Pacific as their commute between San Francisco and San Jose. When they got new equipment, why they donated it to the RAILTOWN here.
Okay. These fans and these lights, are these original?
These are original fans and lights and everything. They used to have generators underneath the car that ran off of the axles and everything that would generate power for the lights. But since we don't run very far anymore or very fast, if we need the lights, we put a little Honda generator down underneath the lights.
Okay. Do you ever run this train at night, or is it always during the day?
Now we don't use it at night. There for a while we did have a New Year's Eve train, and they would run at night, of course, and so then that's when we needed the lights and everything.
Okay. And these trains, do they run every weekend on the hour?
Yes.
Okay.
We run 5 trains on Saturdays and Sundays. If there's an extra long weekend, 3-day weekend, we'll run all 3 days.
Okay.
But during the week, this is a privately owned railroad, so they use the tracks during the week to haul wood products from the sawmill in East Sonora, haul them down to Oakdale where they connect with the Union Pacific. So we have the rights to use it on the weekend for excursion trips.
Okay.
And if it's a special occasion, why we'll get extra rights. But
right. So no one else is allowed to use this during the weekend, it belongs to you?
This is owned by the state, this train, yes. And during the week, it's a privately owned freight line.
Okay. Now, I hear there's a special car up ahead of us.
The 2901, that's the number of the car. It was built in 1910, and it's an observation car. and it was owned by the Southern Pacific. They ran it on the Overland Limited that used to run from Chicago to San Francisco. And in the car back here is Daryl.
Well, this is Daryl, and you are our tour for this next car.
That's correct, and welcome aboard the 2901. The 2901 is a first-class car. It was run on the Overland Limited. It was built in 1910, served on the Overland Limited up until the 30s. And we have a car host on here that was part of the restoration. I didn't participate in part of it, but I'm one of the car hosts that actually runs the car as an attendant. So welcome aboard, and we can start through the tour.
Oh,
okay?
Great. Let's go. It's gorgeous.
And of course here, this makes this car very unique because it's the only one out of the 10 that was made for the Overland Limited that actually had the barbershop.
That is different.
So yes, it is.
The way this train moves, I don't think I'd be very secure having someone trim my hair on this train.
Well, basically, though, it wasn't too bad because what you're experiencing is basically track situation at a very low speed. Overland Limited had very, very good tracks.
Oh, so
okay, and they travel much faster. This car is very heavy, so it's like a Cadillac on the road when it's running smooth. Okay, so it was a very smooth ride. A lot of people think, okay, well, you walk back here and you're walking into a car that was a men's only car. No, because the ladies on the first class train actually had their hair washed back here. So this barbershop chair actually tilts back, so they can have their hair done.
Oh, how neat.
So this is in partial restoration. It's not complete as yet. So we're still working on it.
It looks complete to me. What else do you have to do?
We've got a lot to do, so we're just glad that it doesn't show that much.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
This section here is called the smoking section. And again, a lot of people said, well, you know, this would be a men's only portion of the car.
Right.
Well, at the time frame, that wouldn't be very ladylike for the ladies to come back here and associate with smoking men and spittoons and that like. So they would pass on through and go on into the next compartment, which we'll visit next. Okay. And as the gentlemen would come in here, or the ladies would come into the car, they could go to one of the seats, and up on the wall here, there's a push button right here.
Yeah.
And if you push that button, there's a little bell that rings in the galley here, and the car attendant, not like myself, but the car attendant would actually go in and take your order and serve a sandwich or hard drinks. Or
how nice is that?
And so this is the next compartment here is the galley. It was a full galley, had an ice box and everything. A real honest to goodness ice box because they did not have refrigeration.
Right.
So we had
actual block of ice.
In
the box.
So then that's what we recreated in here. Okay.
Oh, beautiful. And it had stained glass windows like this. So pretty.
The original car was all wood on the outside. And it had arches over these large windows, very similar to what's over the top here. But in the 20s, it was actually upgraded because the original lighting system was gas, and so it was upgraded and with steel sheeting on the outside, also a steel beam that went all the way underneath, so it made it very much more sturdy. But at the same time, they came in and they put fans in, electric fans and electric lights, and that was part of the upgrade in the 20s.
This train is actually so comfortable. The leather seats, the window can be open just this much, and you get a nice breeze coming through here. And you know what? This scenery couldn't be prettier.
Well, welcome into the Pardo section of the car here in 2901. Back here today we have some first-class riding guests today, and on board today we have one of our hosts that actually was in part of the recreation of this car, and he was one of the instrumental members in bringing this back to the condition it is today. So he will be giving you a little bit of the story, and this is Leroy.
Hi Leroy, I'm Tammy. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh gosh. So tell me about this car.
Well, this is a wonderful railroad car. It was built in 1910, remodeled in 1920 to see what you have here today. It was used on a train called the Overland Limited that ran from San Francisco to Chicago back and forth. That train had a reputation of being the finest passenger train in service in the west. Dignitaries would come up from Los Angeles to meet the train and to ride it to Chicago in preference to other trains.
Sure.
People coming from Chicago, if they were notable enough, would be met in San Francisco, literally San Francisco. The train went across the bay on a ferry.
Oh, really?
And really, to Fisherman's Wharf.
Wow.
And the hotels would send carriages out to meet the train and take the dignitaries back to the hotel.
Oh, nice.
So this car was the lounge car on that train, which was an all-Pullman consist. It had sleepers and dining cars and buffet cars and this lounge car, a rolling hotel. It was a first-class train. You had to buy your ticket to Chicago, a first-class ticket, and then an upgrade to the limited, which didn't stop every place, and it just went zip to Chicago. It was then and the fastest way to Chicago. And if you
About
come,
how long did it take?
a couple of days, and in fact faster than today, because
Really?
the equipment rolled just as fast. The limit was the tracks, not the equipment. More or less the same route as today. And today, freights have preference over passenger cars, and the old days it was the other way around. So you could get there faster in 1910 than you can today by rails.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this was the finest car, perhaps, on the finest train in the West, and you're riding it today.
Oh,
I'm
this is
Tammy.
so-
Hi, Tammy. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm very wobbly up here. You guys are all so
We got our
sturdy
sea
and-
legs. We do
Yeah.
have our sea legs,
You
yes.
do.
It takes a while.
Oh gosh. So what do you do back here in this little section, this little balcony?
Well, what we're doing the way the train's running, we're back here, and when we're coming down the line, we're actually the ears and eyes for the locomotive. We keep an eye on the track to make sure everything's clear, and we listen for anything that might be going wrong. So when the engineer's coming this way, he can't see at this end. So it's our
Right.
job to keep an eye on that, and we can control the train by the brakes up here.
Where are the brakes?
We've got what's called a monkey tail hanging right there, and that's what we
Yeah.
can control to control the train with, move it forward.
That little hook right there.
Right.
Oh,
and that we can
wow.
raise that up, and that'll bring the train to a stop.
It will.
Yeah.
This big massive train will come to a stop from that little thing.
That little thing, yes.
Wow. How long have you been doing this?
I retired in 05. Yeah, I've been here since 05.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that sound.
It is kind of neat.
Yeah. It is neat. Were you always into trains as a little guy?
Never was into trains until I got to be an adult.
I noticed that there was black smoke along with the white smoke, and I kind of expected to only see white smoke since it's a steam engine. Where does the black come from?
Well, the locomotive actually burns oil, and the black smoke occurs when the fireman adds additional oil to the firebox. That's why you get the black smoke. Ideally, if the engine's working correctly, you'll just have a little gray smoke. But every now and then when the oil's added, you get a lot more black smoke.
Okay.
Then he'll back off and it'll be gray again. That means the oil's burning at the perfect combustion rate to get the maximum BTUs for the boiler.
Oh, okay. And that goes the whole ride. It's a mixture of the steam and the oil.
Constantly balancing the oil, the amount of oil against the power the locomotive is using and the steam it's using at the same time. So that makes it black, makes it lighter, depending on what he's doing at the moment, what the locomotive's doing for performance.
What happens if he messes that up and puts too much steam or too much oil?
Well, too much oil is going to cause a lot of black smoke. We're not going to have good combustion, and the locomotive actually won't burn as hot, and you won't achieve as much steam that way. And of course, we can't let the fire go out on the other end of the spectrum either.
Right. Oh, interesting. Steam engines must stop for water, and if you ride near the front of the train, you can get a good look at the water tank as the train takes on water. Your train ride ends back at the Jamestown station where it started. When you visit RAILTOWN, you're going to want to see the grounds with one of the tour guides. Hi, I'm Tammy.
Hi Tammy, I'm David. I'm a volunteer here, and I will give you a tour of our roundhouse.
Oh, thank you so much. So where do we go from here?
We just go right through here and we'll take and head for the roundhouse.
Oh, let's go.
Thanks.
I'm so excited about this.
Okay, our tours are normally about 40-45 minutes, and I will give you a short part of that so you can see what RAILTOWN really is like. As we enter the roundhouse, we got to watch out for safety. One of the things is we have a lot of machinery and equipment that you got to take and be aware that you don't get injured. This is an active roundhouse. We work here 7 days a week. It's not just an old museum, but it's an active museum. And one of the things you watch out for is don't run back into anything, because if you back into the walls, you're probably going to get dirty soot, grease.
Ooh, greasy dirt.
Some of our grease and dirt's over 100 years old, and you're going to be taking some of our relics, and we don't want that to happen.
Oh my gosh.
So come on in. Let's enjoy yourself in the roundhouse.
Oh, this is so neat.
Tammy, this is our 1905 combination car. It's a passenger car and a freight car, and it was built by the cable car companies in San Francisco. This next car is the caboose that was built in 1923. And we wore it out here at RAILTOWN, so we're restoring it.
It's cute that it's pink.
Well, it's pink now, but it will be red. We just didn't get the finished coat on it yet. They've been working a year on it already, and it'll be about another 6 months, and we'll have it here for the kids to have parties in and everything else.
Oh, how neat is that?
Okay, this is our number 28 engine. It's been our workhorse here for years.
Wow.
It's down now for repairs, and we don't know how long it'll be. It's like anything else. These engines, when you start to repair them, you take them apart and you find 40 parts needs to be repaired, not one. So we'll be working on it. We have a lot of volunteers working on these.
Where do you find the parts for these things?
Well, once in a while we find them at other railroads that have parts, other engines similar, and we have a lot of parts out in our boneyard that we use.
Okay.
And if we can't get that, we go buy a piece of steel, and we have machinists that actually make our parts.
Oh my goodness.
Or if we have to have it made, we'll have it made at some other foundry, and the foundry will make the part, they'll ship it to us, and we'll finish it and install them. So every year we probably make about 20 to 50 parts for every engine we have.
You do? For every engine?
Yes. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So I see this number 28 there. You mentioned 28. What does that mean? Is that the size of the train, or?
No. The number on the engine is the number that was assigned to this railroad at that time. They number their engines. They start with 1 and they go up to...
Oh, okay.
So 28 would possibly their 28th engine. Not always. Sometimes they bring an engine from another company, like our number 2 Shea engine. It came in from a railroad up in Northern California, a logging railroad that closed. So it's called number 2, and we still use the number 2 number on it.
If you already had a number 2, do you need to change one of them?
Well, that's what happens too. A lot of railroads had that conflict. They'd have 2, 3 number 3s or what.
Right.
And that's what
that would
happened.
be confusing.
Yes, it would. So,
What kind of train is this? What does it do?
okay, there are steam engines. This is a rod engine. On a rod engine, there's only 2 pistons. And each time the piston fires back and forth, it pushes the rod, which pushes the wheel around in a circle. On this engine, we have 8 drive wheels on each side, and that's all that drives the engine. Also, on every steam engine or train, we have pipes that bring sand down to the tracks. And this gives us traction. When the tracks are slippery, the sand will help the traction. Also, in case they want to brake real fast, they pour sand on the tracks, and the sand will help slow the engine down.
Is this where the sand comes from?
No, the sand is way up on top on the dome, and it comes down pipes. They have a control in the cab, how they can control it. And they blow air down the pipes, and it'll put sand on the tracks.
Oh, honey, I never would have even thought of that. There's no way for that thing to grip the track.
Well, one of the things people don't understand, on a big steel wheel on a track, there might only be 1 inch or less touching.
Really?
We don't have mud and snows on this thing. We have steel wheels on steel.
Yeah.
And when they have to stop quick, they have to really put the brakes on.
Oh, man.
And it's got a lot of cars behind it to stop.
Oh, the power behind this thing.
Yes.
So what is this thing here?
Oh, this is a forge. There's a big hood here, and there's a coal-fired forge. This was built 100 years ago. Oh. And at one time, we had a great big billow here where a little 10-year-old would sit there and pump the air. They paid him about 50 cents a day, and then all of a sudden we had to get rid of them.
Why?
Well, they bought a brand new air compressor. Now all we do is turn the valve on, and that's the way it is.
Nice for you, but there's some 10-year-old out of work.
I know. I don't think he's 10-year-olds anymore. Not anymore.
Oh my gosh. This is so neat. These things weigh a ton.
Yes.
By the way.
They made their tools here. They actually would take raw pieces of steel and make tools. Wrenches, whatever you needed, they would make right in the forge.
Oh, those humongous wrenches, were those made?
Big wrenches, everything. It usually takes 5 to 7 weeks to get a wrench here from Chicago.
Oh boy.
They could make a wrench in one day and be using it.
Yeah.
That's faster than UPS almost.
That's for sure. That is so neat that you guys even know how to do that. I wouldn't know where to start.
Well, it's we have aerospace volunteers here doing this type of work.
You do?
They love it. It's just great.
Oh,
yes.
Getting their hands dirty?
Yes, getting their hands dirty.
Getting everything dirty in here. What is this building here?
This is our machine shop. It's about a 1919 machine shop. Some of the equipment says 1905, some says 1909. In this machine shop, it's called a flat belt machine shop. And if you notice up here, all the belts are ran off of one main pulley line.
My God.
And there's a belt that goes to every machine, and you can turn the machines on independently. None of the machines at the present time are running. But when the belts on the machine starts running, you can run that machine. This is as noisy as it gets when the machine is off.
Oh wow. See, if I had seen this in a photo, I would have thought this building would just be rumbling so loud. It is so quiet, and those things are so smooth.
The only noise is when they're machining some steel. You'll hear the grinding or the steel being machined and cut. Then you will hear a noise in here.
So what is this? It's a car with train wheels on it.
Yes, it's a car with train wheels in. Actually, it's a 1924 or 25 or 26, a little Ford that was made right here on the shop. They took an old pickup and they made this little vehicle. We call it the superintendent's car. He'd go down the tracks and he would watch that the jobs are being worked on. The tracks are being worked on, repaired properly. And then once a week he'd take the paymaster with him. The paymaster would go in there and they'd take a bunch of money down and they'd pay the men.
Really?
You know, some of them got $1.25 and some got $2 a day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bucks.
Well, they only worked, they didn't work very much. Only like 12, 14 hours a day. So what do you expect?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I could have made it back then.
Well, no, but I don't think I could have either.
So this thing isn't just to be cute. It's not just for fun. Someone actually used it.
Oh, this was actually operational. Yes, it was.
Oh my goodness.
It was built right here at RAILTOwn.
Now, when your guests come, do they get to come and see this also?
Yes, everything that we've shown here today, you'll be able to see. And there's much, much more than we can put on this little show.
Sure. Oh, sure. So this is the movie section you were telling me about?
Yes, well, here at RAILTOwn, we make movies. We've made them since 1919. And our props are our engines, the tracks, our men, our equipment. And we don't make props. Hollywood brings the props.
Right, right.
So all that we got left is signs of what movies and towns that were made here. Every one of these signs you see at one time was either on our station, our depot, or some other prop that building they had built.
Right.
And they left those to give us some information. So when you see a sign that says Chicago on the building, you know that movie was made in Chicago.
Oh my gosh.
Not here on Sierra Railroad.
Cool.
Yes.
Have you been around when they've been filming a movie?
And it's been a long time ago. I've watched some movies. I've only volunteered here for 8 years, but about 20, 30 years ago I've seen a couple movies made here.
How many have been made here?
There's over 200 movies and TV commercials and TV shows made here.
200?
Yes, there has.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the favorite place for Hollywood to come for many, many years.
Yeah. Well, you don't see this anywhere else.
No, well, this is it. This is the old West. This is what RAILTOwn's all about.
Well, this is Lisa Smithson, and she is the curator of RAILTOwn. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Tammy.
Now, tell me what that means, curator. What do you do around here?
The curator is the person that sort of tries to keep track of what moves where. Since these are all historic artifacts, we have 18 historic structures. It's my job to make sure that the structures are taken care of, that they don't fall apart, to keep pests out of them, and to assess conditions over time, like sun damage or damage that would happen to some of the equipment. I'm the one that will document that.
Oh, my goodness. So how did you get this position?
Well, I have a fine arts background. I moved to Columbia from when I was living in Los Angeles, I lived there about 10 years, and I worked in a gallery. And
This
when
is quite different from, I guess.
yeah, so when I moved back up, I had lived here before. I got hired at Columbia State Historic Park to do a collections movement project. And in Columbia, we moved all their collections, I think 25,000 objects, from one building that was insufficient to a state-of-the-art building that was climate controlled and very nice. So I learned a lot about how to handle collections, how to document, how to use the database.
Right.
And so
What's different about this one, though, is the artifacts go in and out of the buildings and they're used.
right. So RAILTOwn is different for a curator because it's a living, breathing organism,
Right.
you know, and that's what we love about it. But it's really hard to keep track of what gets moved. You know, things just move around because people need the tool, so the tool moves, or
Yeah.
you know, the train moves. Or
Oh, you've got quite a job.
yeah,
Oh.
it's really overwhelming sometimes. But you learn so much. You just keep learning and learning, and that's the fun part.
Oh, you must be the most organized person ever.
You know, it's funny, but I'm not.
Really?
But I do know where everything is in my house. I mean, everything.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You know, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for having us today. Well, I'd like to thank everyone here at RAILTOwn 1897, not just for giving us this awesome tour today, but for the work they do. Because of them, these state parks are around for all of us to enjoy. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Merle Norman Cosmetics at 142 Lincoln Center in Stockton, and Embracing Family Home Funerals for Calaveras County. And a special thank you to my producer, Larry. Without him, we wouldn't have these shows. Be sure to see us also on our MySpace page, myspace.com/whatssheuptonow. You can see pictures from all of our shows, the videos, forward them on to your friends and family. Anyone can watch them from there. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.